CAD-CAM is a word that came in. It means computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing. And at Langley, we had focused on the design, where with computers on the screen, you could draw a wing and then kind of look at it in 3 dimensions and rotate it and things like that. But we hadn't really got into manufacturing. Some people said, well, that's the business of the Boeings and McDonnell Douglas at that time. But it turned out that we were weak in that area because we didn't know much about it. But what happened with large-scale computers, these big mainframe computers, you didn't really have, it was very expensive to get anything beyond design. So my supervisor, Bob Fulton, at that time, he said, we need to get one of these new mini computers, they were called, to see if we can exploit and use them and to get us into the design and manufacturing area more. So he agreed with our electronic computation division, and the director's discretionary fund put some money in, all about equally, I think it was $200K each, to get a new prime computer, which was a brand new computer. We got one of the early ones of it, which was designed for time sharing and spreading out, rather than that time we used to put decks of cards and that type of thing. It was considered too expensive to have terminals connected. And we had light pans over in the central facility, so that's quite a long time ago. But anyway, we got this first prime computer, and my supervisor said, here, Olaf, go at it, see what you can do, and some other people in other groups also tied in, so we had a team that worked on it. Well, it turned out, we found out certainly you could do the design. And at that time, we got access to a huge system that had been developed for CAD-CAM, computer-aided design and manufacturing. Well, I remember we tried to, we could do the design. We could go in there and, like with computer-aided design, you define node points, connect them together in 3 dimensions and get nice 3-dimensional objects that look just like the real thing, like a car here on the computer looks like a car over there. However, what if you want to actually make a model of that car? Well, I saw on the menus all these options for manufacturing, which none of us knew anything about, so we started to read up and find about it, and we found out there were things like, oh, you have the tool path, like the tool was going to go over the top of the wing, for example, and yet where the tool path is going. Then you'd have to define the coolant that you're going to use for the tooling. So there was a whole new field, and then one day I just tried a lot of this stuff, and actually you see the tool going back and forth, and you know, actually, and so I said to my supervisor, isn't there some way we could actually, and he said, you think that's possible? And I said, yeah, but we need to have some other people working with us. I said the software can do it, but we need to collaborate with others. So we made a team of us in design, and then we got some people in systems engineering who knew some of the details of the engineering part, and then some people in the NC machining, it was called, numerically controlled machines, which you give commands, go here, do this with this tool, and take this tool, take another tool, and so the system supported all that. What I didn't say is that the system that we got only ran on a VAX computer, and we didn't have a VAX computer, so I had to take all this source code, which was good part towards 1 million lines of source code, convert it over to our prime computer that we had at Langley, and then we had the only version in the world of a prime computer. I remember one day the fellow who developed the code was in Switzerland, and he said, called me long distance and said, Olaf, you've got your prime version running, can we get that and run it on our client's computer over in here in Switzerland? I said, no, I think you have to go through the NASA system to get approvals for that. But at that time we were kind of, and the prime system was a very good performance system for that CAD-CAM. So then Langley was very bright and went and bought 4 more prime computers to support this whole process where we could, from a screen, actually get a model. And I still have the model of the first wing that we actually performed, where we did it, and then we just carried a tape that it produced over to the NC machine, stuck it in there, and then it made our wing for us. So that closed the loop of from design to manufacturing, so you could do the whole thing. Through that, at Langley, we learned, and we changed our whole processes. We used to have design people, engineering people, and then we'd have the NC machining people, and then now everybody worked together with a common system. So that was kind of a background of the CAD-CAM at Langley. Following that, I was on the CAD-CAM committee for the AIAA, and they invited me down to Michoud, which is the NASA facility that makes the large external tank. I guess I haven't told a lot of people this, but they saw our prime version, and we implemented that on their system down there, and for making all these external tanks, because it meant that each of these external tanks, you'd think they'd all be the same, but they're all different. There's a little bit, or maybe a large bit of change in each of them. So they wanted to have a way that they could define all of those and then have copies that they could send to Kennedy, so those folks would have an integrated system. They wanted to be able to send things back and forth. They wanted to do everything. So they basically got our system and used it, and then had me down there to describe some things. I guess it was for about a week. And then the fellow I was with, he invited me to stay with him too, and he said, "Olaf, we want you to come down here." And he was trying to hire me to run their computer facility down there at Slidell, it was called. I guess it supported Michoud and some other places down there. But and he wrote a letter of commendation for all the help that we gave them in their facility. And so they've adopted that. They went out for a big buy and bought workstations that they involved me in the process of defining those. So that helped out that facility.